Hi everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show, my weekly showcase of thought leadership in the Internet of Things. My name is Tom Raftery, I'm the Global IoT Evangelist for SAP, and now, on with the show. Hi everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show. My name is Tom Raftery, I'm Vice President and Global Internet of Things Evangelist for SAP, and with me on the show today I have Stefan. Stefan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Tom. Hi. Thanks for having me. My name is Stephan Gatien. I am the General Manager of our Telecommunications Cluster at SAP. So my purpose is to grow our business in the telecommunications industry, working with all our customers and prospects in that exciting space.
Okay, so let me just clarify that. Are you involved with telcos as customers of SAP or partners, or what's the definition of telcos in this ecosystem?
Well, that's the uniqueness and the exciting part of dealing with this industry is that it's multifaceted from an SAP perspective. We treat telcos as customers. They are consuming our solutions to run their business better. But at the same time, because of their position at the epicenter of the digital world, they're also a wonderful partner, and they can help us drive our solutions or co-innovate in new domains, particularly around anything that is sensor-based. So they are both customers and partners, and hence the special relationship that it creates for us in this industry.
Interesting. Stefan, we met at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona this year in February, and we had a little bit of a precursor to this conversation, and it was kind of interesting to me because I don't deal with telcos very often, whereas it's your bread and butter. And, from an IoT perspective, I tend to think of telcos as, providers of the pipe. But you were saying no, that they're becoming a lot more than that. And you hinted at some of it there. The telcos are moving up the stack now. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely right. And I think MWC was in a way, a wonderful illustration of that. I think that there was at least one connected car on every stand of every major telco operator. And all of these operators, whether they're South Korea Telecom, Verizon, AT&T, Telefonica, Vodafone, were showcasing their ambition to go beyond straight connectivity of, let's say, an embedded SIM card in a car, or in a smart meter, to a combination of platform and applications that may allow them to become more prominent and more major actors in a hyper-connected world. And I think MWC was, on one hand, a wonderful illustration of this from a carrier perspective, from a telco operator's perspective, and it was also a wonderful opportunity for SAP to showcase our vision around this, our vision around connected scenarios, and how the portfolio of SAP in 25 industries can actually be a wonderful accelerator of some of the operators' ambition in the Internet of Things space.
Interesting. We've seen this play out before, and it is still playing out, I guess, in the cloud world, where the telcos started to move into the data center space, and now we're seeing it in the IoT world, where they're, as we said earlier, moving up the stack. Doesn't that put them in competition with SAP, though?
It will put some of them in competition with SAP. It will also create opportunities for us to collaborate, maybe in new ways, with these operators. From a competition perspective, it's clear that some of the top carriers in the world have an acquisition strategy for their IoT business, and they've decided that they're better off acquiring existing assets than building their business from scratch. I think the best illustration of this in the among the top carriers would be Verizon, having spent about $3 billion in acquisitions around solutions that are more or less IoT related. The biggest one being a company called Fleetmatics, dealing with connected assets and fleet management. We've seen Vodafone, for example, also acquiring companies in the connected car space. And so clearly, these players will challenge some of the assets we have in a number of domains. At the same time, I think that while particularly they take a vertical view of their business, they will be interested in dealing with partners that have a strong DNA in particular verticals. That could be oil and gas, that could be healthcare, that will be automotive with connected cars, and that could be utilities. And as we know, SAP has a strong DNA in all these industries. So I think that we will likely find ourselves in a co-opetition mode with some of these carriers, and we will find ourselves in a pure collaboration/partnership mode with others. But it's going to be, in any case, an exciting space to see evolve as we move forward.
Yeah, I think that's not an unusual relationship to kind of have. It's one of the funny things about the Internet of Things is that you get strange bedfellows for want of an expression. The ecosystem becomes very, very complex, and lots of people are customers, suppliers, and competitors all at the same time, and it seems to be playing out that way for the telcos now as well.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that we will see also a competition around this ecosystem, right? I think everybody acknowledges, and SAP is very clear on this, that a lot of innovation will come from our ecosystem, which is the reason why we're investing so much in the SAP Cloud Platform, and that we're also promoting a number of solutions in our Leonardo portfolio. And I think that some carriers have also acknowledged that in order to be successful in this Internet of Things space, they will need to rely on the ingenuity and innovation capability of their ecosystem. And I believe that there is going to be a potential overlap between vendors like SAP and the carriers to actually find a common ecosystem on the same platform. In our case, the SAP Cloud Platform, to draw and encourage that innovation.
Okay, interesting. And one of the big changes that's happening in the telco world right now is the move from 4G to 5G. That's going to be happening in the next 3, 4, 5 years, depending on which reports you read. How will that impact the telcos? I mean, you'll see massively fatter pipes, I guess, with faster loading times. Will that do away with the need for edge computing?
Yeah, I mean, 5G is definitely a hot item right now. Well, I think the jury is out to respond directly to your question. I think a lot of analysts have mixed feelings about 5G. It's clear that it's going to be an essential evolution that is required to deliver close to zero latency scenarios in a wireless environment. So that would be critical for self-driving car scenarios or near real-time IoT or sensor-based scenarios. So that's huge for a hyper-connected world and for the relevance of operators. At the same time, it's a huge expenditure and it's a huge cost. We've seen this week, last week, AT&T engaged in a very creative transaction to acquire a company that had already purchased 5G spectrum, to acquire it in a transaction that was deemed very advantageous to AT&T. So there is a lot of strategies already put in place by carriers. But the flip side of this is that some analysts are suggesting that for a lot of IoT scenarios going forward, 5G may not be as big as initially thought. There are a number of other technologies that are being introduced. The narrowband IoT, for example, by companies like Vodafone or Wi-Fi being expected to play a role. And so the question is, will 5G deliver on its promises? And that's the big question mark. I mean, there is no doubt that the evolution will take place. I mean, a lot of carriers are engaged in initiatives right now, and the time frame that we're looking at is 2019, 2020, roughly. But yes, there's still a lot of speculation around how fast the return on investment will be.
Okay. I assume that carriers, and it'll probably depend from carrier to carrier and region to region, but I assume carriers will have kind of a multiple channel, if you'll pardon the pun, rollout strategy where for one particular price you'll get narrowband IoT connectivity, and for another price you'll get 4G, and another price you'll get 5G or something similar.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and as this industry has done, right? I mean, they will focus on the high spend areas or urban areas most likely for the initial rollout, and we know this is an industry that is very skilled at rolling out new waves of innovation, while gradually decommissioning the previous one. So some telco operators are still operating in a 2G, for example, environment, right? And they're decommissioning gradually. So yes, your assumption is correct. This will happen by wave.
Yeah. Okay. And what are the big opportunities and challenges ahead for telcos now that, with 5G coming, but also with them trying to move up the stack? I mean, there's a lot of balls in the air for them. Where do you see the opportunities and challenges for them?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so first of all, the big challenges are disruptions by new players. I mean, disruptions by the over-the-top players. Like a Google, Apple, Skype. I mean, the technology you're using for this call is actually jeopardizing and cannibalizing the core business of a telco, which was to make revenue by enabling voice and data connectivity. So that's the big challenge: is how to create new revenue streams fast enough in order to manage the erosion of their core revenue from these disruptors. On the flip side of this, on the other hand, we're seeing other players like very large global players like Amazon and Google's having ambition in as global data centers, and also challenging one of the avenues that was at one point thought about as a promising new revenue stream for data centers, and some carriers are moving away from that. So that's the challenges. The opportunities are I think related to the fact that already today, but in the near future, nothing will happen without any form of connectivity, and the question is how high in the stack can telcos go to bundle this connectivity with value-added services, whether it's a sensor-friendly platform, whether this is applications that are IoT smart or IoT ready, that could be consumed and generate additional revenue on top of the connectivity cost. And I think there are huge opportunities for telcos to reinvent themselves, to become something else than they are today. And we're seeing various responses today. So later in the year, Orange will launch Orange Bank, for example. Orange is a large telco player in Europe, with presence in many countries, including France, Spain, and in Africa as well. And they will launch a mobile only bank, right? So they're clearly seen that space as a potential evolution for their business. In the US, we're seeing a lot of the carriers investing a lot in content, betting that actually the stickiness of subscribers will be based on the quality of the content that they own. It's a fight against the Netflix and Amazons of the world that have become production houses, but it's also an opportunity to grow through the acquisitions of Time Warner Cable, for example, for AT&T.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, as you say, they've gone into content with the triple plays and quadruple plays, but as you also say, that's been disrupted by Amazon and Netflix. What about the whole idea of the smart home? Do you think they'll try and get into that aspect with, maybe, I don't know, offering smart alarms, smart video cameras, all that kind of thing? It would seem like a natural evolution for them.
Yes, absolutely. The smart life scenarios are clearly one option and one direction that many carriers are taking. Obviously, in the North American market, AT&T and Verizon are really active in this space. I believe that worldwide, the most active player in that domain is NTT Docomo. I think they are generating today between 15 and 20% of their overall revenue through smart life scenarios.
Wow.
Smart life scenarios being the smart home scenarios you described. It could be also connected health, elderly care, which is a big thing in Japan, and a number of domains that will require not only connectivity but a service on top. And I think it's clearly that becoming a digital lifestyle provider and being perceived by the customer population, the subscriber population, as the right service provider for the digital life is a path for success and for sustainable results for this industry.
Excellent. Stefan, we're coming towards the end of the show now. I was just wondering, are there any questions that I haven't asked you that you think I should have?
Well, I think the big question that comes up when we touch this topic is, can telcos be anything else than dumb pipes? Can they avoid becoming the utilities of the future or the utilities of the digital world? But I think you've asked the question differently. So and you've covered that base. So I would say no. I think we've covered it all.
Okay, fantastic. If people want to know more about this kind of topic, Stefan, or know more about you or SAP's solutions in this space, where would you advise them to go?
So they can go to www.sap.com. They will find a section on telecommunications and with the detail of our perspective on this industry and our portfolio. For additional details on myself, they can find me on LinkedIn, Stephan Gatien. And yes, those are the primary source of information on these two topics.
Cool. Awesome. Fantastic. Stefan, that's been great. Thanks a million for coming on the show today.
Thanks very much, Tom. Thanks for having me.